We got a little bit of a warm up on the way as we work our way towards Christmas and through the end of the year, but we're also going to be tracking some wet weather as well. Here's another look at your 10-day forecast, getting back into the 50s the next few days, and then we've got some 60s, especially by the weekend. That chance for showers, Christmas Day only 30%. Grace, though, will be in tomorrow morning with an update.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Trevor. Waay 31 gives you 24/7 coverage. You can count on local news, breaking news, and severe weather. Don't go anywhere. Law Call is next.
This is Waay 31 Law Call.
Good evening and welcome to Waay 31 Law Call. I'm Sharon Dovia. Tonight we're taking your calls and questions about defective and dangerous products just in time to be gift giving and receiving. We're going to talk about what to do when something goes wrong. Who do you blame? So if the scooter that you bought online, that battery catches fire and burns down your garage, is that the manufacturer's fault? Is it the store's fault? Or are you to blame if you didn't know exactly how to plug it in and how to manage it right? We're going to talk about products liability cases, and they can be difficult to prove, but tonight we'll talk you through everything you need to know. Call in your questions about a toy, a home appliance maybe you bought, a medication, a medical device. The 31 Law Call number 256-536-0077. You can call or you can text to that same number, and we'll have your text tonight. You can also email. You can email any legal question any day of the week. You send it to lawcall@waytv.com, and when we get to a show that's on point, we pull some out, and we will have some of your email questions tonight. William Meservy's here from Timberlake League and Brooks. Good to have you here.
Glad to be here tonight.
You guys do product liability cases, so you do all kinds of personal injury cases, car accidents, medical malpractice, product liability cases. What are we talking about?
Product liability cases can be a wide spectrum. As you can imagine, there's a wide variety of products that we encounter on our day-to-day lives, and that could be, anything from, a product that goes in our body, like a surgically
medical
implanted product.
Something. Okay.
It can be as simple as, like we said, a toy that you buy off the shelf to give to a child.
Yep.
It can be literally anything in the store that you find. So it's a wide variety. Airbags, medications, appliances. All of these things are products under which, that could be defective or could cause injury, or you could end up with a products liability claim.
So we'll talk you through what you need to do if you've been injured or somebody in the family has been injured. And to get us started, we like to give you tonight's You Make the Law Call. We pull out some video. You're used to seeing crash test dummies with car accidents. Okay, this kind of video with this old-fashioned TV falling over on a crash test dummy child. This could be anything. It doesn't have to be a big old TV. It could be a big mirror that's propped up.
Well,
so what do you see when you look at that?
I like that we've got this You Make the Call tonight while we're talking about products cases, because while this is maybe a little bit exaggerated, like you said, with the old school TV up on top, this is a common problem for which numerous children are injured every year.
Yeah.
And climbing up shelving, climbing up dressers. And if you've ever been the poor soul who is left to put one of these together when they come in the mail, you'll notice there are brackets that are included to secure this furniture to the wall.
And how many of us actually do it?
Not many of us, right? Because
Yeah,
our
we don't.
significant other's going to tell us to move it in 2 weeks. And so we don't screw it to the wall,
Yep,
right?
been there.
But that's a problem, because that would be the first offense that this furniture manufacturer would bring up if you were to bring in cause of action against them. They would say, you failed to use this product in the intended manner, and you failed to read the instruction manual. You failed to install the brackets that we provided you, for the precise reason that this would never happen if you secured it to the wall. And there are a variety of products, that occurs with. How many of us pull out the instruction manual when we get, when we're unboxing the kids' toys on Christmas or any other time of year, So the fine print, the devil's in the fine print, as they say.
And a lot of the instructions are going online, so they want you to take an image of the code, and it pulls up a video, and now you're watching videos. But if later on something goes wrong, are you going to be able to find that video again? You're not going to be able to find your instructions?
You may not be able to find the video, but most online instructions will remain in the archived on the internet.
Okay.
And so that is actually one of the things for which I'm grateful. I don't have a file folder system like my dad did growing up
Yep.
with,
Yep.
all the receipts and instruction manuals.
Yep, warranties.
Right. You don't have all of that anymore. A lot of it's just stored on the internet. They email you the warranty, this, that, or the other. So, you still need to keep up with things, but it's a little easier in today's day of age than it was, even 15,
So you
20
think
years
it's going to
ago.
be in your search history, or do you save it somewhere?
Well, what I do is, I'll give you an example because I had an issue with my dryer earlier this year.
Okay.
And, I'm straight to Google.
Yep.
And I type in, instruction manual for name of manufacturer and the
Okay.
product code, and a PDF popped right up. So
Okay.
it can be relatively easy to find the instructions, but it doesn't solve the problem if you're reading the instructions too late.
Yeah,
Right?
true. Okay, call in your questions, or you can text to 536-0077. We've also got some email questions. So Erica emailed in and said, my son found a piece of wire in a bag of cereal, and he almost choked on it. I called the product manufacturer, and they wanted us to send the wire in. They said they'd send us a coupon. Should we settle for that? Do I have a case, or do I have any legal options?
Well, anytime you're trying to establish a case, and there's different ways to go about a products liability case. You can bring a negligence action. Some of these actions can sound in strict liability, and then it can also just be as simple as a breach of warranty type claim.
Okay.
But regardless of which vehicle you use to travel down the products liability road, whether it's negligence, strict liability, or a breach of warranty, you're going to have to prove certain elements along the way. So you're going to have to prove that the product was defective.
Okay.
And then you're going to have to prove that type of defect, whether it's a manufacturing defect, a design flaw, or a design defect, or if it was, a failure to warn or something along those lines. And, look, there's not uncommon for a piece of metal to be found in a food product.
Okay.
It comes off the machine
Yeah.
or something else, and these
Yeah.
things can happen. Whether or not she has a case is really going to revolve around, did the child ingest the wire? Did it cause damage to his teeth? Did he swallow it and he's got an esophageal problem?
Okay.
Simply finding
That's
the
not
defect.
a case. Okay.
Not a case, right? So you've got to have damages. Someone has to be injured, someone has to be hurt in some form or fashion. And typically in these type scenarios, Sharon, you're David taking on Goliath. You're
Okay.
one individual taking on a massive corporation.
Yeah. Procter and Gamble.
And
Yeah.
they're going to outspend you, right?
Okay.
And so you have to have damages that make it make sense to spend the type of money
Okay.
that it takes to get there. So in this type of case, you always want to keep the wire. You don't ever want to send the wire back to them. You'll never see it again,
Okay.
right? So if someone was injured in that scenario, you would want to keep the wire. Your attorney would then send that wire to be tested by his engineers before he's ever going to send it to the
Gotcha.
company. Once you send it to the company, you'll never see it again.
Okay. Hoverboards got to be a big thing with fires a couple of years ago. I don't know if they've fixed that problem. But if that happened to you or it damages something, you send in the hoverboard, it's gone.
Yeah, and you bear the burden of proof in proving your cases, right?
Okay.
So, if you've sent off the evidence, you're going to have a hard time reclaiming that evidence to ever prove
Gotcha.
your case. So, it's a situation where, look, if you think you have a products case and someone's been injured,
Yeah.
you want to keep that product. You want to guard that product.
Okay.
Keep it in the chain of custody of yourself. And that way, when your lawyers, engineers look at it, you can prove the chain of custody. No one's messed with it since it caused the problem or the injury. And that's sort of the way you want to go about that type of claim. You don't want to, send it in for a coupon because,
Okay.
everyone likes a free box of cereal. But, if we're talking the type of damages that you need to get a products liability case off the ground, then, yeah, you're going to want to hang on to that wire and they can keep their coupon.
Is it the same thing if somebody got the wrong medication? So your pharmacist gives you the wrong medication and maybe you take some, but it doesn't really hurt you, or just receiving the wrong, it could be something serious. If I had taken this, I would have died.
It could
but
be.
I didn't take it.
Now, that would likely fall into the category of medical negligence.
Okay.
If a pharmacist simply misfilled the prescription
Okay.
and gave you the wrong medication, then that's going to be on the pharmacist. That's going to be, a medical negligence claim via the Alabama Medical Liability Act. Now, if we're talking about a medication that injured hundreds of thousands of people,
Okay.
right? And it's a manufacturing defect, or it's a
Okay.
product defect,
Right.
or it's a failure to warn type situation, then that's different. That's going to fall more into what we traditionally think about as a product's liability case. And in that case, you might not be David taking on Goliath, because if it's injured that many people, there's likely going to be a class action lawsuit, right? And
Right.
A mass tort or class action lawsuit is where lots of plaintiffs come together and they share cost,
Okay.
right? So if you share the cost of taking on Procter & Gamble, like
Right.
you said earlier, then, it's not one person having to pay $3 million in costs.
Right.
It's, 100,000 people,
Gotcha.
and it's a much more equitable situation. So, a lot of times in products liability, when there are many people injured, that is the situation you're going to look at. You're going to look at a class action lawsuit, and you're going to be one of hundreds or thousands or maybe hundreds of thousands.
And probably
of
never go
plaintiffs.
to trial. Cut a deal, most likely.
Those cases will have 12 main plaintiffs, and they're the ones that are going to respond to discovery,
Okay.
appear for trial if one's necessary, those types of things. Generally speaking, those cases do settle at some point along the way. And, if they do, then you get categorized based off your damages into one of 4 categories or one of 6 categories. And the people who are hurt the least get the least amount of money. and
Gotcha.
People who are hurt the worst get the most amount.
We've got Will on the line with a question from Huntsville. Hi, Will. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Hey, Sharon. Hey, listen, I just want to call in. I couldn't go to bed. I saw that jacket Williams got on, so it reminded me of a products liability case. And William, so we've had cases about flammable clothing, and the jacket may remind me of that, but like pajamas for children,
Hey,
and
Will
couches, and we've had death cases on both. Explain a little bit about products liability with fire retardant and not proper fire safety. Love the jacket, y'all. Well done, everyone.
Well, hopefully this is not a flammable jacket, but those types of cases, flammable clothing, that's going to fall into a design defect,
Okay.
right? And
Yeah.
so when you're making things that have an intended use, you want to make that product in such a way that it protects the consumer against harms. And one of the best examples I can give has to do with this time of season, Christmas trees.
Yeah.
And if you look at artificial Christmas trees, they used to go up like that
Yeah.
in a flame. And anymore, they're made out of fire retardant material that, try not to, it would be a harder task to set that thing on fire than it used to be. And a lot of the products we surround ourselves with on a daily basis are this way. The insulation in your walls, drywall. A lot of these things are rated as fire retardant materials in order to try to suppress or keep a fire from spreading from one room to the next. And so, a lot of times these better products we have are because they have been sued,
Yeah.
for design defects or products that have injured people. And that encourages the manufacturer to make safer products in the future.
We're going to take a break. We're going to come back and talk about if you bought something online. So Amazon and those kind of places, are they responsible if something happens and the product you got is from another country? Are they monitoring those things? Call in your questions, the 31 Law Call number 536-0077. Call in or text, and we'll have your questions coming up.
You're watching Way 31 Law Call. Your rights, your calls, live. Presented by the Tennessee Valley's award-winning personal injury and wrongful death law firm, Timberlake, League & Brooks. Featuring the knowledge and experience of Attorney Michael Timberlake, Attorney Will League, Attorney Heath Brooks, Attorney William Meservey. And hosted by broadcaster and family law attorney Sharon Doviet. This is Way 31 Law Call.
Welcome back. William Meservey is with us tonight answering questions about defective and dangerous products. This time of year, everybody's gift giving and buying things and getting new things into your home. So if something goes wrong with it, if you're injured or a family member is injured, what do you do about that? And I was particularly interested about things that you buy on Amazon, because there are things out there you can buy so cheaply. If it's coming from other countries, I just don't know if anybody's checking it, and I wonder if something goes wrong, is Amazon going to pay me back my damages?
Well, not voluntarily, but
No.
Historically, it's a great question, right? Because in the world of products liability, the seller has always included pretty much everyone in the supply chain.
Okay.
So it's going to be the manufacturer, wholesalers, retailers.
Okay.
It's a traditional supply chain, though. And Amazon kind of shifted the playing field, because they're really a third-party marketplace or a third-party platform that sort of just passes products through.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of uncertainty surrounding that for many years as to whether or not they would be responsible. But the courts have ultimately held that Amazon and those type of companies that are just passing the products through are still part of the supply chain. They're still part of the distribution chain for the product. And so they do bear liability just like anyone else would. And it was sort of a big deal because, you know, like you said, it's hard to nail down where these products even come from.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you've got the battery coming from Vietnam and the, you know, the rest of the bikes coming from Thailand, except for the seat was manufactured in China, you know, it can be very difficult to figure out, hey, who's really actually at fault or responsible for this. And then even if you can figure that out, trying to make that company or business beholden to, you know, the civil laws of the United States isn't an easy task either. And so it really was a big step in the right direction for accountability when the courts found that, yeah, hey, look, they're part of the supply chain.
If you had a case like that, would it wind up in our local court system, or any idea where you'd have to wind up going?
Well,
I may
it
be
would
putting you on the
depend
spot.
if the individual, or in this case, corporation that you're suing, was within the jurisdiction of your state, headquartered in your state, then potentially it would remain in some form of state court. But pretty much in Alabama, you know, that type of case, a lot of times will be removed to federal court. You can file it in state court, but they very well may remove it.
Okay. We got this. This is the third email. This one is from Chanel. Chanel says, I used a flea medication on my dog and it made her really sick. And since then, I've read other people have had the same problem. Can I prove the medication is dangerous and get the company to pay my vet bills?
In theory, yes, right? But in reality, testing and getting the evidence you would need to prove that that medication is indeed causing that.
Yeah, that's what made my dog sick.
Is going to cost way more than your vet bills, right? And so that's another one of those instances where, look, if you can establish a pattern of pet owners who are, you know, having sick dogs because of a certain dog food, or you know, sick because of a particular flea medication, then if those plaintiffs get together and share costs, then it's going to make sense to pursue that type of claim. And so some of those claims with nominal or small damages are better handled in a class action setting.
If I see that there is a class action settlement or there's a class action case, do I need to call the national number and sign up, or am I going to want a local lawyer? What do I do with something like that?
It's always best to start with your local lawyer. You know, there are these mass national tort firms, right, that go out and advertise for these things. But, you know, your local lawyer is going to be able to get your case over to one of these firms that are actually trying the case. You know, one of these 12 lead plaintiff type firms. And in addition to that, you're going to have a local liaison who you can actually get on the phone and discuss your case with. So it's always best to start local, and you can build up from there if need be.
I can imagine trying to call the national number and get an actual person to talk to you. Talk to us a little bit about holiday parties, holiday drinking, businesses, like bars, and being responsible for drinking and driving.
So being the time of year that it is, it's a good time to remember, not to drink and drive. Right. But you can, if you do decide to drink and drive, put yourself in a pretty tough situation were you to be involved in a motor vehicle collision, because you're opening yourself up not only to negligence and compensatory damages, the things we're typically talking about on this show, but that type of behavior reaches a level we call wantonness, which you could think of like recklessness. And that carries with it punitive damages. Now, punitive damages have nothing to do with the injured party. Those are compensatory damages. Punitive damages are to punish the wrongdoer, to deter that type of behavior in the future, both for themselves and for similarly situated people in the community. And so, those cases are aggressively pursued. And, it's a situation where a lot of insurance companies now are saying we don't insure punitive damages, which means that, hey, your own bank account, your own personal assets could be on the line.
It's on you.
And the same thing is true if you're having a holiday party. If you let someone come over to your house and get loaded on, 18 shots of tequila and they get out on the roads and injure someone, you could be opening yourself up to what we call a dram shop case, or, over-serving someone at your house, or if you were to serve a minor. So those things can catch up to you. Now, I'm not telling you don't have holiday parties, because we all love a good holiday party, right? But, be careful, act within reason. And, if you're the one supplying the alcohol, you need to be very careful.
Does it matter if the guests are bringing alcohol, or still be careful?
It's still a good idea to be careful.
Seems like that's probably why so many people are actually hiring bartenders, right, for their own parties, private parties at a house, and you've got a paid bartender there.
If you're hiring a bartender, you want them to be licensed and insured.
Okay, good. Is it worth it for any of the extended warranties for most products that are out there? So is that going to help you any along the lines of damages like this, or is that a whole different thing? Everywhere you go, from the box stores everywhere, you buy a $50 product and they want to give you a $12 warranty on top of it.
So the warranty is typically not going to protect you from injury. It's not going to insure you for injury or something along those lines. But if there was, a breach of that warranty, it could be evidence in a product's liability case, of course. But those extended warranties will protect the product in certain circumstances if they were to break before the deadline expires or something like that. But, again, you've got to read the fine print on those. A lot of them, don't cover wear and tear, don't cover general, breakdown from overuse or things like that. And so, sometimes they're not always good.
You typically don't buy them?
I typically do not buy them. But a lot of times it has to do with the value of the original item as well.
We're going to take a break, be right back answering more of your questions about product liability. Stay with us. If you didn't get your questions answered tonight, here's how to get in touch with William Meservey. With Timberlake League and Brooks, they are personal injury attorneys, so everything from car accidents to medical malpractice to product liability. 256-536-0770 or 800-804-2502. The website is law-injury.com, and if you like them on Facebook, you can learn more about the law that way.
And Sharon Doviet is a family law attorney. She practices everything from divorce, guardianship, adoptions, child custody. And you can reach her at 256-539-7337 and learn more about her at www.sharonfamilylaw.com.
Thank you much. Happy holidays to you and
Happy
your
holidays.
family. Thanks for all your calls and questions, and happy holidays to you.